Now, before I get started on this video about Caledon Radio's continuing problems, I want to say once again, because I said at the start of my previous video, which I'll put a link in below, when I was bringing up Norrie Hunter and Caledon Radio's yet again crowdfunding, I received a couple of sort of social media posts from the Norrie Hunter fan club being, just quite weird with me. And I'm just going to say, as I did say in the last one, I have no problem with Caledon Radio broadcasting. I have no problem with Norrie Hunter. I am constantly saying that I will help them sort their problems out if that's what they need. I don't have a problem with any of that kind of stuff. Contrary to what seems to be what people do, Norrie does his usual self. When anybody says anything which kind of he doesn't agree with or upsets him in any way, block. So before I start any of this, I'm not having a go at him. I think if you've raised £15,000 he's done already and he wants another £5,000, I think you have a moral obligation to publish accounts on how that money's been spent. And that's where I have the problem with the whole Caledon Radio thing. It's nothing to do personally with any of them. It's the same with the Indie Live radio station, who again was going, I don't understand why you're attacking him. I'm not attacking him. I'm just saying that if you're going to take money from the public, you need to basically account for it. You can't just take money and just, I've spent it, so to speak. Norrie Hunter did a one-off Caledon Radio special, pulling all the big weights in, pulling in Gordon Ross from IndyCar, who he's wanting to do podcasts with by the sound of it. Now, that's the big heavyweight coming in. That was surely going to bump the numbers up. Then he had an article about fish farming and whatever. And then he had another person on called Jem. I can't remember her second name, but he had her on at 11:15. I think we'll start off by looking at the listener numbers. Now, you can see here that he started off at 10:05 with 14 listeners. Now, by 10:16, it had reached 22 listeners. Now, a few minutes later, it dropped down to 18 listeners. Now, jump forward to 10:43 when he had his second guest coming on, and it was down to 14 listeners. Now, that stayed steady at 14, 15 listeners all the way through, and at 11:22, it was showing 15 listeners. Now, at 11:31, 11:32, the stream host server went down, taking down not only its server, but it also took Indie Live out at the same time. So they're both using the same streaming host. Their server went down, and by the time it came back up, Norrie had 3 listeners. Now, at 12:56, just before Norrie closed the show down, he had managed to come up to 6 listeners, which, if you listen to my first video, was a bit average for Norrie when he was on his own and had no guests. And that's the listener figures for this one-off special show to judge how well Caledon Radio is doing.